Hello and welcome to That British Homestead. Today I thought that we could plant out another bed of potatoes. This is going to be great. So main point, this will be a no dig, no having to dig up those potatoes, super easy way, low stress of planting potatoes. So let's begin. Also look, I am hardening off my lettuce, onions and all sorts of brassicas there, so you can see birds. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I air out the greenhouse as well every morning, so they get about an hour's cold breeze in there, which is going to be good for them. So these are wood chips, and we're going to be using these as our medium to grow potatoes in. This is a root snout method, but instead of straw, because straw is so expensive right now, we're going to be using wood chips, which I get for free. Now, anything you can get for free will be perfect as a substrate. It isn't weed free, but it's much less weeds as long as it's a really thick layer. To be honest, it's quite thin because I run out of wood chips, so probably go ahead and put some more on later on in the year. So potato wise, we're going to be starting off with some main crop called Pentland. As you can see, it's a white potato. We're going to be planting these 1 foot apart and between potatoes and 2 foot between rows. So let's get started. Start off basically digging a little hole like so until I hit the natural soil, which is roughly about there. Pop the potato in. You can cut up your potatoes, but I never do, so I don't have any idea, but apparently that works. So I just use one of my big boots. So I want to put one there, big boot, one there. Now, the great thing about laying them out before you do it is that you can actually see that I've gone wonky, and I can actually move them over a little bit, which is quite nice. Right, so that's that one done, and about 1 foot apart, hopefully in a rough straight line ultimately. Whoops. That gets to the end of them potatoes. So they're done, and I'm going to go ahead and get my salad blue potatoes. These are a main but early main variety, so really these should go in first. These are a blue potato, so they're pretty cool, and they're really beautiful and picturesque. I've grown these for a few years now, these purple potatoes, and called purple majesty, I believe they're called, and a red potato that is called Hetty. It's really exciting. So we're going to go ahead and plant these. The birds absolutely sound amazing. I love this time of the morning, and I'll feel really accomplished before I get to work, won't I? So it's actually quite difficult to walk on. So the process that we actually put these potatoes through is called chitting, and you chit a potato by putting it on the windowsill, and it grows these little chits on them, and then that is your new potato plant. This time of year you do have to chit them, but if you planted them later, when the warm weather is, you don't. So I've got one more bag of potatoes here, and these are the same salad blue. So I'm going to be going ahead and I'm going to be planting these ones in the same fashion. Which reminds me, you must put the chits up. So chits up, because that's where the leaves are going to come from. There's no sort of big science to potato sowing. You just kind of plop them in the ground. Now, I have heard people saying that you have to grow seed potatoes, which are these potatoes. However, my mother-in-law, whenever she gets any, you know when you buy potatoes from the shop and they just start sprouting, she literally just got a bag of compost, threw them in a pot, and went ahead and grew them and grew beautiful potatoes. So I don't think it's necessarily you need to with potatoes, but it does have A, more varieties, and B, oh look, that one's quite rotten. Stick them in anyway. You get more likelihood of getting less diseases than if you get shop potatoes. I think I've got another 2 plants, but I've got another bag of potatoes at home, which I forgot today. Which is good, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and awkwardly get some fertiliser. Okay, so this is blood and bone meal, and this is chicken fertiliser, just pelleted, both organic. I'm going to be putting this on top of the potatoes once I've dug a little hole. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So this is my potato. I'm going to dig a little hole. Once again, I'm going to dig all the way down until I get natural soil, which is really good because it helps you by burying it again. Chits up, so like this. Put a little handful of that, a little handful of that, and then we're going to go ahead and close them up. But I'm going to leave them open until I know they're all done. This is just the way that I like to do it. Once again, dig all the way down. The water retention of wood chips is truly marvellous. So if you ever have any problems with soil retention, this will help so much because, I mean, look, it holds the water so well. It also helps if you bury your phone. So like I said, I don't think this is quite as deep as I should have gone, and I have done with my other beds, but this method is so simple to dig up. Because they're not in the soil, you can literally do it with your hands, and I really enjoy that. If you've got kids love harvesting potatoes. I think it is literally one of my favourite pastimes with small children. If you've got them, my daughter absolutely adores doing potatoes. She gets really angry if she can't find any for a little while, but then as soon as she finds them, as long as you don't, find more than her. So I kind of like do a thing where I rebury them and go, oh, I wonder if there's a potato here. Especially when she was younger. But I think it's just a great way of spending the afternoon personally. So just digging down. Also, this is a great way of spreading mycelium within the soil structure, because this is going to break down into beautiful soil. And I know that lots of people keep saying, oh, you don't want wood chips in your garden, they're going to take all the nitrogen. Well, I've done this in my soil at home, and I have awful soil at home, really rubbish soil. And where I've got my garden bed, which is a raised garden bed at home, I've got the soil just as topsoil for where we had an outbuilding built. So it is not, it is literally the worst soil because it's from where a concrete slab was laid, so you can imagine it was really rocky. We're on London clay, so it was all clayey. The soil structure was all ruined and full of stinging nettles and all of that sort of stuff. And honestly, putting wood chips on top, putting a few foot of wood chips on top, now it is absolutely glorious, light and fluffy and lovely, because it does take a few years to break down. But when you're gardening, initially, when I first started gardening, I was like, oh, you know, I was so worried about doing perennials or anything that took too much time. Now I'm like, all I have is time, isn't it? It's all you have in the world is time. Hopefully anyway, so I don't mind growing things that take forever, such as soil. And I always think the most important thing is the soil, not the plants, personally. Oh, do you know what? I can't believe how out of breath I am. Just take some muscles. You can see that I've actually left my knife in the car, my hori knife, which is still amazing, but I'm just going to use my hands. I think at this point everybody at work is so used to me coming incredibly dirty, because I come over here every morning. Ooh. So it could be worse. Have I gone? Is it still straight? Like, it's straight enough, isn't it? So this one, it's gone a bit yucky. So if it doesn't go ahead and grow, I'll just put another potato there. Seed potatoes are not that expensive. I always buy mine from a reputable potato source. So these ones are from Marshalls. I think I buy them from Marshalls every single year. I always like Marshalls. If you have a problem with them, like one year I got some kaolits, right? Not their problem, but I bought some kaolits and bought a whole pack. I sowed the whole pack and I didn't get one single germination. So I wrote to them and said, like, oh, I bought this kale pack. I didn't expect them to do anything about it, but I had a little bit of a moan. I emailed them saying, oh, I bought this kale pack, I planted every seed, and I haven't actually got anything from them. I've sown brassicas for years, I don't know why, and I've bought from Marshalls for years, always had good results. I don't know why this hasn't worked. And they sent me a new pack, which was very nice of them. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and put this stake here to indicate that this is where my last potato is. You see how stiff that soil is? Right, bet you in a year's time it's going to be light and fluffy. Alright, so then I can put 2 more potatoes in before I do another potato bed. I might do the other potato bed over there. I'm going to go over the far side and work my way back now. This bed has so much bindweed and so many, I should say, stinging nettles. Oh, I wonder how this deep mould is just going to tackle them, because stinging nettles can climb through pretty much everything. I hate stinging nettles so much. Apparently they are edible. I don't want to eat them because I hate them, but if you could think about eating them, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Especially if you're as good at growing them as I am. Now, if you are vegan or you don't like the idea of using an animal product in your garden, which is understandable if you don't agree with that, you can use kelp, which is a great alternative. And I think they have things like vegetable meals as well, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Do you know what? I think... No, it's fine, that one that goes there. So that is a very good alternative if you don't want to use a blood and bone meal or the chicken fertiliser. That'd be a great alternative. I really like kelp meal. It smells like seaside, which is lovely. And it's also really good for seedlings if you are using it. I don't tend to use one on seedlings because I use a general fertiliser, a general compost even, and then I move them out pretty sharpish, and then they get a handful of this. I'm not really into liquid fertiliser too much, but I have made a tea which I might feed to them later on when they start sprouting through, when they're like 50 foot tall. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm actually getting out of breath. So some of this stuff is really well rotted, and the more it rots, the better the soil retention, which is very exciting. All of it is falling back in the hole. Might have to go get some more chicken fertiliser in a momento. So dig, 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 dig. One thing you do get, because I've just seen one from Mulch, is absolute tons of spiders. And if you don't like spiders, that might be bad for you, but you get so many spiders that when you walk on it, you'll see them scuttling around or away from you. It doesn't bother me. I used to be terrified of spiders, but gardening has cured me of my terror of most insects. And this is like a huge spider. They're not like, if it was like Harry Potter sized, I think everyone should be scared of them. I'm so excited for fresh potatoes. I've frozen a lot of my potatoes from last year. We grew about, I think it was 100 kilos, 80 kilos along them lines. And I've made a load of mashed potato and frozen that. And I've made a load of chips and frozen them. Vac packed. I love vac packing. And what else have I done? I've also done I have a load fresh still, but they're like getting to the point of being a little bit squishy. So there is that to worry about. I am thinking of planting some of the ones that have sprouted from last year. I've never done that before, and I'm sure they're going to be fine. But they do have a little bit of a larger risk, of having a little infection, so just bear that in mind. As you go deeper in the wood chip as well, it is significantly warmer than the top layer, which is exciting. Sun is now risen. It's funny with the camera, you can never see how dark it is on the camera, but even when it's like significantly dark, it looks really light on the camera, which is really nice. Clocks have gone back now, so they are it's quite dark. It's so funny, the day that the clocks went back, because we've got our phones to do it automatically, I said to my partner, I was like, it's really dark, why is it so dark? He was like, I don't know, why is it so dark? It's suddenly really, really dark, and we were like, couldn't work it out, and then we were like, the clocks have gone back. The clocks have gone forward. Spring forward, fall back. The opposite way now. Last row. So I've got a question for you guys. Are you morning people? Would you like, as I do, to get up super early in the morning? I get up at 4 every morning. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, doesn't matter. If I'm off work or on work, that's the time I get up. Get up at 4 and I do a load of stuff, about an hour on YouTube, doing the bits I need to do. Then I get up, walk my dog, and then I come over here, right? Every morning, apart from Saturdays and Sundays, because on Saturdays, Sundays we go on a big dog walk before we come over here and we spend the day over here. Slightly different. But if you have a big garden, when do you do the bits that you need to do for Zed big garden? Because after work, because I cook most of my food from absolute scratch, like I don't know, like today for dinner we are going to have sandwiches, right? Because we've got so many eggs. I'm having egg mayonnaise sandwiches. I've made the bread yesterday. Okay, I've got some fresh bread being made, but I prefer it when it's cold bread because it cuts better. Egg mayonnaise, making the mayonnaise tonight. Already boiled the eggs for it because I like cold eggs. That's what we're having for dinner tonight. So it does take a little while. So it's just time, isn't it? So I tend to spend about an hour cooking at night time. Of course tonight is not going to be very long, so I cooked it yesterday, but the day after that, because we've got so many eggs, we're going to be making spaghetti carbonara. And spaghetti carbonara doesn't take very long at all, but still you have to mix up the eggs and all of that. But I try to do everything so that it's least affecting on cost and time. Oh my god. But it does mean that you have to plan what you're going to have at least a day before. I don't know why this is hurting my legs so much. I feel like I'm really working out. God, this one has so many big twigs in it. Still absolutely fine. Anything you can use to cover them up is fine, especially if it's free. I got it off of a bulk website, so I bought about 20-ish kilos, 25 kilos maybe, of chicken fertiliser, 20 kilos or 25 kilos of the blood and bone meal, and some hoof and horn meal, which I've used. I think this is like the second year that I've used it. I think, yes. So it's always good to buy everything in bulk when you've got an allotment. She uses lots of it. Oh my goodness. 2 more to go. Potatoes, I always find, are such high energy putting them in, and then they take absolutely not even a thought once they're in. They pretty much look after themselves, but it's just getting them in. Right, there's a whole bed done. Right, next thing, just going to kick the mulch that we've moved back on top like this. This is technically hilling them up. I normally hill them up as much as they need to be, so I don't have to do it again, but like I said, I've run out of wood chips, whoops, and I do want to get these in. They take about 20 weeks for them to get to maturity, and you'll tell that by them dying back. So the actual plant that you grow will grow, and it'll look beautiful, and it'll flower if they are a flowering variety, and they will look awesome, and then they'll die back and look dead, and then you'll dig down, well, not dig, you'll move apart the mulch very easily. Probably have a video on harvesting somewhere, and basically you'll get your potatoes. And if you have small children, that is honestly, you can't mess up potato harvesting. You just can't. It's impossible. Alright, so it's a great thing to help your little gardeners into the world of gardening without, which is most important, them destroying or ruining anything. Not that our little gardeners would, eh? However, it is something that some people do worry about, myself included, especially if your little gardeners are particularly little. Do you know what? This deep mulch is a lot deeper than I actually thought. So yeah, 3 lines of potatoes done. This is all done now. I'm so happy it's done. The sun is just coming up above the chicken coop. So with this being done, my next job is to plant out the stuff that I'm hardening off, which is very exciting. Probably going to plant that maybe in this bed here, so I have no idea what I'm going to be planting in that bed, so why not see how that goes. It's very exciting. As you can see, this is another bed that I've done for my potatoes. I've got another one on the other side, so I'm probably going to have one more bed, which I'll do over this bit where I've done nothing with, which is very exciting, I do know. Oh dear. So, with my camera dying, I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing is awkwardly walking over this bed that I've done.